Radiant team ban.
Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. It's been 3 weeks in the making. It's been up, it's been down. We've seen Dignitas bounce back and forth between the upper bracket, the lower bracket. Only Team Liquid able to hold their team together as they push through to the grand finals right before us, coming through the upper bracket, with Dignitas having faced off and lost against Liquid yesterday, now looking to battle back from the lower bracket back up. Once again, want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I know that the international qualifiers are going on at the same time, so don't know how that has come out because obviously we have a broadcast here to do. But one thing I do want to say that I think is pretty exciting is the fact that this is our first broadcast. You know, we're using our new equipment here in San Francisco, so bear with us. We're going to hope there's no issues. Hopefully the stream quality looks good. Hopefully my voice is nice and clear and nice and boomy for you. But more than anything, want to hope that these two teams do what they do best, which is show us excellent Dota day in, day out, game after game. And speaking of games, Liquid will be rolling into this best of 5 with a 1-game advantage because they did come through the winner's bracket. So Dignitas going to have to get off to a good start early. Really can't afford to drop a game 1. If they do, they'll be 1 game from elimination and have to win 3 in a row, which is asking a lot against any team, let alone a team as talented as Team Liquid. Now, both of these teams have already punched their ticket to Seattle. They're going to be on their way to the International 3 as direct invites, while the rest of the teams, and you know, this is one of the things that makes this an interesting way to end things out. Dignitas and Liquid, I mean, they've been playing. It's not as if they've just been taking a 2-week vacation since their invitations went out to the International, but for the most part, they have been relatively quiet. So getting to see both of these squads back in action, especially as it's a North American showdown here for the grand finals, always going to be a fun storyline to watch and fun to see how these teams are looking at this point, heading towards the International as the weather gets warmer and we get through towards the end of May, only a few months away now. Anyway, let's talk about the picks and the bans. We can see Darkseer and Magnus taken out by Liquid. No Bad Rider or Wisp will be joining us courtesy of Dignitas. They will go ahead and grab the Rattle Trap, though. Clockwork, a favorite of Bulba. And they're going to go ahead and take that, not just to take that away from him, but certainly as a counter to the first pick Lifestealer Liquid has showed us. They're going to go ahead and pair up a Gyro with the Clockwork as well. Absolutely devastating if a Clockwork is played well, the way he can synergize with the Gyrocopter, the fact that so much AoE damage is available to Gyro early on, even before he begins to build items, call down, Flat Cannon, and of course Rocket Barrage. If Clock's able to catch 2, 3, even if he just catches 1, so long as it's a high priority target, or if he's just very good with the placement of the cogs, when he does decide to pop them, he can narrow down and eliminate any passive retreat. That allows the Gyrocopter to really just have free reign, sit back, and be safe as he pours the damage on. But Liquid opening things up with Lifestealer. Lifestealer is a very popular first pick with a lot of teams, not because he's necessarily in and of himself that strong. Don't get me wrong. He's still an extremely strong hero, one of the tops on the planet. Pretty much, east to west, no matter who you ask, Lifestealer is going to be considered to be one of the more high-priority heroes you're ever going to pick. But the reason so many teams will take him in a first pick position is because it's so easy to build around him one way or the other. He's just so damn versatile. He's a hero who excels in the offensive tri-lane. He, of course, benefits a ton from defensive tri-lane farm, but he can do some wonky stuff as well. He can off-lane, for example, if he's able to anticipate what he's up against. And not to say it's the safest thing in the world, but it can be done. Have seen it a few times. Lifestealer works in mid as well. So they have that. Or you can just put him in the jungle. Now, the jungle Lifestealer is a bit of a risk just because he starts out so slow. He does gain steam as he's in there. But again, just how many options they have to build around that Lifestealer makes him a hero so very worthy of that initial draft position. Shadow Demon, Queen of Pain, going to follow up the Lifestealer for Team Liquid, so they've got their mid. We'll see Korok on the Queen of Pain. He's been playing a lot of Queen of Pain lately. Played him Queen of Pain very well yesterday when we saw them in action against Dignitas. Shadow Demon, of course, and I say this all the time, one of my favorite heroes in the entire hero pool. He's just so good, and again, it's because he fits into a variety of situations. Seeing him come out and not be paired up with a Rubik's actually a little strange. I think Liquid might have been able to hold on and get that Queen of Pain later, but instead they just go ahead and opt to get their mid and get an extremely strong support in the Shadow Demon. It's also a hero that does counter the Lifestealer, so we see Dignitas already with one really good counter to LS and a Clockwork. Wouldn't be surprised if Liquid banned out the Bane here. They'll probably go ahead and look to take out some more high-priority mids as well. Puck a mid they might want to get rid of just to get rid of more AoE teamfight potential. They're still looking probably for some other sort of mid-game damage dealer. TA is a hero that sneaking plays very, very well. And we could see Liquid, thinking the same thing. It's like, okay, they're going to need something a little bit more in the mid-game, taking out the Chin. Not to say the Chin is a mid-game or nothing kind of a hero, but he is a hero who certainly hits his stride and hits his peak in terms of efficiency early on in the game. And, he's a hero that you want to get the majority of his work done between 15 and 25 minutes, not between 35 and 45 minutes. Though, so long as he is on par with where he needs to be, has up some core items. Mech, of course, very good. Staying on par with level so he can get up a level 2 and level 3 Hand of God, very important to his efficiency. But, again, Liquid just taking that possibility out entirely. Now, the way Dignitas has kind of looked to ban here, they have to try and try to predict if it's going to be an offensive or a defensive tri-lane. Lone Druid is still available if Liquid wants to go in that direction. TC plays a phenomenal Lone Druid, and it wouldn't surprise me to see that if it does make it through. I would actually be a little bit stunned if Dignitas didn't ban the Lone Druid right now, but they might be thinking the same thing for themselves as well. So Keeper of the Light actually surviving through the first pick phase. A little bit surprising to see that hero not picked up. Just such a strong hero in so many situations. And really, as good as the Keeper of the Light can be in lane, what makes him such an unbelievable terror to have to deal with is the fact that he gives your team so much mobility. He lets you split push so much more efficiently, so much more effectively. But anyway, Liquid actually not taking the Bane out so far and not taking out any mids. Enigma going to be the hero banned out by them. So they're thinking junglers. They're thinking heroes that Dignitas can put in the jungle and then look to push with later on. So just not wanting to deal with that. Instead, wanting to have time to farm the lifestealer, wanting to play a control game instead of a reactionary game. And that's really what makes this matchup so fun to watch whenever you see Dignitas and Liquid squaring off against each other. They're two teams who really like to be the aggressors. They are not two teams that like to protect one. They don't like to do very narrow sort of strategies. They really like to play an aggressive play style that allows them to dictate the pace of the game, and even to a fault for Dignitas. Liquid is a little bit more stable, I think, right now in terms of being able to deal with being on the back foot and fight their way back into a game. We even saw that yesterday when they were in action against Dignitas. Dignitas, though, that's probably the big weakness in their game right now, is when they get behind, whenever they no longer have the ability, they no longer have the firepower to set the pace of the game, they do seem to stagnate a little bit and seem to just kind of collapse under the pressure of under whatever pressure an enemy team can put on them. It just isn't within their comfort zone. So what tends to happen whenever you see Dignitas is Liquid has a lot of fireworks coming out very, very early. Having these two teams facing off in the finals cannot ask for a better finals, and there's the Bane ban. So Liquid not going to allow Bane to make it out for Dignitas. Now, again, the Lone Druid still... Nope, there it is. So the Lone Druid now gone. I was going to say I would have been really stunned if they let the Lone Druid go. Now, this next pick probably going to let us know they're going to run the Enchantress. So that's not all that surprising. Fluff, one of the few players in the West honestly, one of the few players in the world who really does enjoy Enchantress to the point that they will draft her consistently. It allows them to put on a lot of extra pressure. You can play the Enchantress in a variety of ways, too. You can build her as a pure support, have her do, like, rush out the mech. Mech plus Nature's Attendance makes it so hard to take early game towers just because of how stable she can make a tower feel when you're trying to push into it and it's well defended. But you can also build damage on her, getting the scepter up, allowing impetus damage to just carry you through the mid game. The range on it is something that's very, very important against a hero like Gyrocopter, for example. The fact that impetus damage does pure damage as well and is not mitigated by a BKB, very important in terms of being able to focus fire down a Gyro. And, just her entire skill set, really. Obviously, she works the same way as Chen, can bring a myriad of creeps out of the jungle with her. She can use that to push, also use it to gank, and Fluff, one of the best in the business in both of those roles. So seeing the Enchantress come out, and, it would seem to indicate a defensive tri-lane, but Liquid has been known to run the Enchantress. Honestly, I want to say I've seen Enchantress actually run like mid before by them. Don't think that'll be the case here. Obviously, it won't be with the Queen of Pain out. But the potential to run an offensive tri-lane with the Enchantress, trying to take the jungle away from the enemy. And given the bans that they had, the Chin and the Enigma, that wouldn't surprise me if they went that direction. Lifestealer, Shadow Demon, and Enchantress are actually really, really strong together. Enchantress with her ability to keep her team alive with even just 1 point in the Nature's Attendance. Enchant as well, just a way to pursue heroes out. And Dignitas going to go ahead and grab the Leshrac up. That would seem to be their defensive tri-lane now. Nyx Assassin, Leshrac, and Gyro. And that's going to be the decision Liquid has to make. If that's what they were thinking, it's still going to be very, very, very hard to offensively tri-lane into a Nyx Assassin because of Carapace. Impale has a lot more range than I feel like it's given credit. In a lot of cases, the stun duration is just long enough to allow Leshrac to set up a well-timed split earth And, of course, Gyrocopter always going to be very efficient in terms of damage for levels whenever he's under assault. So Liquid having their options open to them. Dignitas, though, and they're actually going to go ahead and grab the DK. Now, that DK pick I really enjoy for a number of reasons. We'll see where they're going to end up putting him. I would imagine that should indicate that they are going to run this offensively. It would make a ton of sense to solo farm the Dragon Knight against the Clockwork, which is what I'm sure they're anticipating right now out of Dignitas. So it very easily could be sneaking on that clock, taking him mid, but we'll find out momentarily. But the Dragon Knight, with the huge amount of bonus armor he gets from Dragon Blood, is such a nice way to deal with Gyrocopter. Once he gets to level 16, he has the free Scotty. He's what I kind of refer to as an anchor hero, a hero who excels at managing fights, being able to just kind of shape fights is probably the way to put it because of how strong his ulti is at level 16. He has very good range. He's going to be able to focus fire the Gyro, and Dignitas is going to go ahead and grab the Beastmaster. Now, it could be a Clock or it could be a Beastmaster mid. We simply don't know right now. But we'll find out soon enough. What I'm really interested to see first and foremost, though, is how Liquid is going to choose to do this. They're going to put Bulba on the Lifestealer. Now, not to say he'll stay there, but he may end up switching. Korok mid, Mike, yeah, this is basically what you would expect. They may end up defensively tri-laning the Dragon Knight and sending that Lifestealer into the off lane. So, and again, that's something I've seen Liquid do before. Run him in the off lane, run him in mid. And it's just why you first pick that hero when you get the chance at this level, because he is so versatile, and when he's put in capable hands, and Bulba's hands certainly some of the most capable in the business, he can get away with a variety of approaches and a variety of ways to play the game that aren't always obvious right off the bat. So want to take this opportunity to once again welcome in each and every one of you that are possibly joining us following the conclusion of the Western qualifiers. And hope that the stream quality is going to be good today. Still looking to get down our pick ban as soon as we get a chance. There it goes. Okay. Yeah, I'm working with my new producer, Mr. Conrad, once again, and we're going to be lining out a couple of testing a couple of things here today. Just hope that it ends up being an enjoyable experience for everyone. Certainly going to be better than what you were used to when I was broadcasting from West Virginia. That much I can promise you just about without a doubt. And right now, hopefully the in-game viewers are hearing me okay. And I'm sure my producer, again, the very talented Mr. Conrad, is going to be keeping an eye on that. Everything good, Mr. Conrad? All right, so you can hear. Sorry to be a little unprofessional about it, but we are going to figure out a way to better communicate. And hopefully everything is going okay. Otherwise, hopefully the stream quality looks good. I got the monitor in front of me where I can see not just my own monitor, but the monitor of the full broadcast. So gonna hope that that it looks as good to you guys as it does to me right now. And looks like, yep, somebody else having some mic problems. So hopefully all is going well, though. But once again, if you're just tuning in, this is the grand finals of the Invitational, $5,000 on the line. Both of these teams obviously going to be finishing in the money, but the big grand prize going to the winner in this North American showdown, Liquid taking on Dignitas, 2 direct invites to the International 3. Looking forward to seeing this rematch from yesterday. And yesterday, really, both teams, it was a really fun game. It was kind of a weird situation as Dignitas came into the game down a game, or came into the series down a game because of the odd departure of Na'Vi, that whole situation. Na'Vi withdrew, so Dignitas was moved up from the lower bracket, but for them to come up and take that place, that then means that they need to be at some inherent disadvantage, and it ended up being a 1-game advantage going the way of Liquid, and Liquid able to win that one game, game 2, ostensibly, and closed the door on Dignitas. But Dignitas then went on to 2-0 Roxkiss, coming back out of the lower bracket, and looked damn good doing it as well. I mean, they just played really solid Dota. But I'm keeping an eye on my mic and Dota TV, and really hoping that that everything is going well for our in-game viewers. I want to thank you guys, of course, as we enter our last series of the Dota Invitational. It really does mean so much to us and so much to Curse and the other sponsors that you would invest your money in supporting us in-game, and hope that your viewing experience is as enjoyable as the stream viewers and certainly as my own. But, again, I guess I'm allowed to do this. Hopefully I won't get too mad. But while we have a little bit of downtime, want to remind you, coming up tomorrow, going to be the premiere of the Raid Call D2L Season 3. And what you see here today is just us testing some elements of our broadcasting capabilities. Hopefully the frame rate and everything else will be very enjoyable, very quality today, so we can bring that to the broadcast tomorrow. But there'll be a lot of things that you're not going to see today that are going to be making their debut tomorrow as well. So if I have to guess, I'm going to guess I probably just need to bring up the volume that's going into the end game. And I can tell when it is cutting out, and I think that's just by virtue of the mic that I'm talking into, how sensitive it is, and so on and so forth. But hopefully the mic issue will be resolved pretty soon. Want to go ahead and plug our good friends at Beyond the Summit Studios as well. BTS going to be starting their TI3 East qualifier coverage starting tomorrow. And I want to thank them. And by the way, I'm not even sure if the TI West qualifier is still going on or not. Obviously, we had a broadcast to do, so I haven't been able to watch it. But nonetheless, want to thank the GD Studio and Beyond the Summit Studio both directly. They both actually invited me to be a part of their coverage, and I was going to do both at one point, but was unable to make it work with my move to San Francisco. When I got the word that it was time for, that I was going to be brought out here permanently and we were going to try to get the studio in shape for D2L Season 3, it, had to do what I had to do, but want to thank those guys. Would have been so cool to go and hang out with Draskell and James and Whipos and Bruno and everyone in Sweden, and would have been really nice to be able to be a part of the broadcast coming out of BTS starting tomorrow with Aoi, and Merlini's going to be there as well. That's why he's not here today, etc. But it looks like we are going to be underway. So, finally, get things going, and going to hope again that the broadcast quality remains consistent. My very talented producer, Mr. Conrad, going to be keeping an eye on things. So let him know. Chat with him. He's the guy that's manning the Curse Entertainment name inside of the stream chat, and let him know if there's a problem or something that needs shored up. We'll do our best to fix it as quickly as we can. Anyway, let's talk about our lineup. Starting off with Liquid, we're going to have TC. He's actually hanging out here in mid, and I haven't seen this in a while if they do this. It's okay, though, especially given what they see. Seeing the Clockwork and the Beastmaster, I'll touch on this a bit more in depth, but this is actually a great position to put a Dragon Knight in if you think he has the sustainability to do it. Now the question becomes what they're going to do with Korok. It looks like Korok is going to be obviously running the Queen of Pain, probably setting up shop here in the solo safe lane. Fluff is making his way through the jungle as well. We're going to have the Lifestealer handled by Bulba, and the Shadow Demon going to be played by IX Mike. I think they're going to end up jungling. I don't know, actually. They're still kind of mealy-mouthing around about it. I would imagine they're going to jungle him now or offlane him. Either way will work. But anyway, on the side of Dignitas, we've got Way Too Sexy playing on our Nyx Assassin. Leshrac going to be played by Fog. Gyrocopter going to be handled by Aoi 2000. No surprise to see him farming up the Gyro. Universe going to be playing our Beastmaster, and the Clockwork going to be taken mid by Sneaking. So, Bulba currently still hanging out near the rune spot. Sees it's not going to be there. It is going to be a DD, and it's going to be spotted and picked up by Korok. Now, defensive tri-lane as anticipated coming out of Dignitas, and Bulba is going to try to make his way in the lane. Now, I had mentioned it looks like, oh boy, another pause. But, looks like it might have been an accident. But talked about this during the draft. This isn't the most common thing in the world to see, but it's not completely unheard of either. It isn't something that is hugely surprising. He just has to play very cautiously, especially, even with Rage. If they time up their stuns correctly, it's going to be very difficult for him to find his way to safety if he does end up eating a lead-off impale or even a homing missile. If that homing missile is dropped early, then the impale's there, then the Split Earth. The homing missile will be there. But again, with Rage, it does give him a little bit more room to breathe. Here in mid, TC should be having a fairly easy time against Sneaking. He's going to have to deal with Cogs. He's not going to be able to manage his mana very well so long as Sneaking is spot on with his Cogs. So not a problem for him in that regard. But TC should have no problem soaking up levels and finding some farm. Eventually, even though he does that, that's actually, he can't afford to miss too many of those. But Sneaking doing a great job of just making TC play on the back foot. Universe versus Korok. Obviously, Universe would struggle in this and really has to be mindful of what's coming out of the jungle. And speaking of coming out of the jungle, Fluff and company, and by and company, I mean himself, IX Mike and his menagerie, Centaur, plus a plus a Dark Troll Warlord already making their way up. Fog playing very aggressive. Bulba's baiting this beautifully. There's the disruption from Mike. Centaur stun dead on the money. First Blood's going to go on the board, and you can give it to IX Mike. Bulba baited that beautifully, and Fog bit hard. 1-0. Liquid off to a great start right now, and now that they see the way the lanes have shaped up, they're just going to go ahead and transition, I would imagine, into a full offensive tri-lane here. Taking a look at Bulba, he's not quite level 2 yet. Way2 is level 2, Alwi level 2.5. Fog back into lane, he's level 2.5 as well. So they are going to have a little bit of a level disadvantage to deal with, but Enchantress and her ability to just manhandle the jungle can really be a mitigating factor there. TC finds himself an invis room, and yeah, I'm not even going to worry about it. Just going to bottle up, head right back to lane, and try to make sure that he is just stable coming out of the early laning phase. 12 last hits leading the way right now. No surprise to see Korok dominating in that department. 8 last hits for the Clockwork. 11 all of a sudden. Going to guess that was a breathe fire from TC, and it was, netting 3 or 4 into his count very quickly. But already we can see the lanes working out much, much better for Liquid than they are for Dignitas. And, you know, Aoi even is suffering here. He's only got 7 last hits. That's the same as the Enchantress. And now with Bulba having help around, actually they are playing back a bit. Mike still with just 2 points in. 1 into Disruption and another into Shadow Poison. Bulba's still just having his way. And this is just, you know, how strong and how much kill potential Liquid's lineup has at this early phase of the game. Even though they only see Bulba, they just can't assume that he's the only one there, even though Enchantress is actually quite a ways away. Yep, there she is. We can see she's already in the other side of the jungle. So Mike now going to go join up and possibly look to gank mid. I think that's going to, yep, he's got a smoke, and wait to see if he's going to pop it. Killing the Clockwork would be huge. Clockwork, one of those heroes who really, really needs to have a good start. And just using the Alpha Wolf to do some harassing here in the lane in the meantime. Relatively quiet following the first blood, but still Bulba doing a great job. And this is not a role Bulba's usually accustomed to playing. He's going to be in the position of carry here. I mean, he is the #1 physical damage dealer at all phases of the game. No, actually, I guess you could say, I mean, off carry. He's gonna peak a little bit earlier than the Dragon Knight, but you know, full inventory's Dragon Knight's going to be slightly more potent in the late game. The Bulba's still going to be responsible for doing a lot of damage. Speaking of, TC eating some damage. There's a little rocket spam. Disruption buys some time. And Fluff showing the power of Nature's Attendants right off the bat. Healing himself up. And again, this is one of the reasons why, and you can see, already 2 points in the Nature's Attendants even. No real surprise in that. Just allows Liquid a little bit more leeway, allows them to play a bit riskier, allows them to get over into position to bail their buddies out if they happen to get caught out, and makes it very hard to get any sort of a marginal lead. And, you know, again, in terms of margin, 3 of the top 4 farmers right now, all belonging to Liquid. And as good as it is to have the Clockwork in great shape, having your Gyrocopter suffer this much, down at just 12 last hits, definitely not where you want to be, because what ends up happening when you fall behind too much too early. Not to say he's there yet. He's still not way out of this game or anything. And Gyro excels in flash farming because of the strength of Flat Cannon and of Rocket Barrage. He can even use Call Down if you want to clear out some stacked camps in the jungle early on. So he can make up the difference, but he has to be careful not to cut it too thin, because he's a hero who needs both survivability and damage. Many heroes, Lifestealer being a good example, is going to tend to build just for damage or utility. He doesn't have to worry a lot about survivability, at least not in the early to mid-game phases, because of the way that Feast works. Because, oh, hang on. We're going to see TC pop the ulti. There's the Dragon Tail to follow it up. He's doing good damage. Don't think he's got enough. Trying to bottle up, and yeah, he's going to fall back. So Sneaking dropped the cogs and unfortunately got trapped in with a very unpleasant host. Back at bottom, Korok continues to dominate in terms of CS. The Beastmaster has every bit of 5. Universe playing as carefully as he can. We're going to see TC spotted out. Good hook coming across the river. And Sneaking hits one from downtown and puts Dignitas on the board with a little help from Fogged, who nets the kill with the Split Earth up at top. We have another engagement alley. Slowed down. The Wildkin is there. Wild Wing, I should say. Wild Wing Ripper. He is going to do what damage he can before he drops, but that's about all he can do. chip away at a little bit of health. So Liquid ends up giving one up in mid after a very good hook from Sneaking, but ends up getting it back with just as high priority a kill on that gyro. 14 last hits at 6 minutes in. This is beginning to get into that territory I was talking about where, yes, he can bounce back eventually, but he's just going to have nothing. He's going to be, yeah, I mean, what does he have? He has a Bassie, three branches, and a set of brown boots, and we're at 6 minutes into this game. And, you know, the way Owie likes to build a gyro is usually Shadow Blade first, but I don't know that he's going to be able to do that. I mean, we can take a look at the levels, and we can see, yeah, I mean, he's down at level 4. I knew he was behind. Didn't think it was quite that bad. Yeah, he's the same level as his supports right now. Bulba, on the other hand, is sitting at level 6. He's going to re-engage. And now the net coming out from the creep. The Ursa is there to help out, and now a disruption of buy time. Fog going to shoot a split earth. Caught him. Good shot. Bulba going to be locked down now. No, he got the infest off. Fog going to be cleaned up, and now Fluff's there eating a little bit of damage. Cogs go down. He's got Nature's Attendance, but the Sonic Wave coming in at the last minute makes it another big win going the way of Team Liquid. They ended up losing the Lifestealer, but in the end, most likely well worth it. They got Owie. Owie and Clockwork, the Gyro and the Clockwork, the two most important heroes on the board right now for Dignitas. With Owie having such a horrendous start, they're going to be banking on Clockwork. They're going to be banking on Sneaking, hitting some very, very clutch hooks to keep this game up, because right now, Liquid is just running away with it in terms of golden experience. And, you know, it's another one of those games I usually like to wait until 10 minutes to take our first look at the gold. I am going to wait for this tower to drop, as it should be dropping. Yeah, Dignitas going to abandon it entirely. But with Owie doing so poor so far, they're going to be really reliant on the defensive capabilities of the Clockwork to try and keep this game within manageable range. 5,000 gold, the advantage for Liquid. That's more than 500 gold a minute they have built up in terms of pure lead. Now they're going to look to turn that around as an Impale catches Bulba. Here comes the Axis. Split Earth, Rage through, making a run for the Tier 1. Let's see if he'll make it to safety. Good hook! Sneaking, timing it up well. That's going to secure the kill. TP reactions aren't there. That's a little stunning to me. That's something Liquid is usually so good about. Fluff was there. He had two very good creeps in the Hellbear Smasher, #1 name 2013, and the Centaur. But with no reaction from his teammates, Dignitas able to make it away relatively unscathed. 5-4. They do manage to get at least one objective done, take the Lifestealer off the board, and try to close that gap. We're almost 10 minutes in here. Now we're going to have Fluff spotted out. He's in trouble. They're giving him the old end around. Sneaking, eating some tower damage. Now the reaction's going to be there. And the enchant as Bulba comes in. He's going to go ahead and rage on the Fogged. There's the roar to lock him down. Mike is there. Split Earth not going to hit anything. Bulba now going to pursue this out. There's a disruption. They caught Sneaking. Korok's there to help clean this up. In the meantime, Bulba continues to chase Fogged. Queen of Pain did get the kill. Way Too buys time for his buddy. And Fogged and Way Too both able to make it a rain. Nope. Sonic Wave from downtown again. Korok YOLOing his way past the Tier 1, blows the ulti, and adds another kill to the total. Bulba was able to get to lock down the other kill down in the jungle as well. 7-4. The last hits, yeah, this is kind of out of control. Liquid is absolutely manhandling Dignitas right now. Four of the top 10, the top 4, let's phrase it that way. The top 4 farmers on the whole board in terms of last hits all belong to Liquid. Net worth, it's even the same story. 5 of the top 6 in terms of net worth all belong to Liquid. Now again, when you're talking about a gyrocopter, one of the big weaknesses of the hero is that he has to have his items. He can get away for a little while being behind because of how strong cooldown is at level 6 and just the pure amount of damage it is output by Rocket Barrage. However, that time is quickly approaching when that's not going to be true anymore. As good as Rocket Barrage will always be, Liquid's going to hit 5-on-5 team mode soon. And at that point, they're going to need a lot more punch, especially with the pure AoE output that they have just between the Dragon Knight and the Queen of Pain alone. Just between those two heroes. The amount of damage they can output in an AoE once the Dragon Knight, if he decides to put a second point into his ultimate at level 11, will just be absurd. But even aside from that, just the power of Breathe Fire in combination with Scream of Pain and Sonic Wave from Korok is just utterly devastating if they're caught grouped up at all. Dignitas, though, has some very strong defensive capabilities. Clockwork, not the most item-dependent hero in the world. He did have roughly the best start in the game for Dignitas. That's always good. He has been hitting his hooks, which is something they were going to have any hope of keeping this game manageable. And can't blame him here. They need to make something happen. This is not a game they're going to get themselves back into by playing defensive. And again, this is Dignitas' style. They do not do well playing a defensive sit-back-and-wait style. They like to gank. They like to bait. They like to try and make things happen. And at the very least, it should help free some room up for this guy right here, Owie, who's not even level 8 yet. Korok is surrounded by enemies. He's level 10. There's the Rocket Flare. Hook's actually going to be off the mark. Here comes a TP. Fluff's there as well. And there's Korok. Gets the Shadow Strike off. Cogs are down, as well as the ulti from Shadow Demon to help secure that kill. So not the most productive use of time for Team Dignitas. They're forced to withdraw back under their own Tier 1. Liquid, again, showing good movement. They may decide to go ahead and push here. They have the Alpha Wolf, which, of course, grants them the bonus damage. The pack leader's Aura, granting 30% bonus damage. But again, the defensive capabilities of Dignitas is not to be underestimated. We do see Korok has a passenger, and they're going to look to drop the Nake's Bomb very, very soon. And let's see how badly Dignitas wants to commit here. They do have a TP coming in. That's going to be Clockwork. He may look to find a hook. Nature's Attendants allowing Fluff to just tank through this. He's got 4 points into it. It is absurd how well that heals when maxed out at this stage of the game. And here we go. There's the Infest out. Scream of Pain. That Roar buys him a little bit of time. Call Down's going to catch everyone. Good split Earth. Mike's going to end up cleaned up. Sonic Wave goes off, and Bulba continuing to try and chase kills. They ended up getting the Beastmaster, but it cost them 2. Now Bulba's rage is down for 8 seconds. Sneaking continues to pursue him out. And they managed to add the Enchantress to the kill list as well. So, honestly, Korok, I don't know why they did that. That was really not needed. The tower was almost certainly going to end up dropping. They had the range damage they need to just bring it down safely, then withdraw. But Korok pulled the trigger and jumped into an entire enemy team, more or less. But good news is, when you're this far ahead, it doesn't really matter. And this is when you know a game is pretty out of control. That was the biggest win Dignitas has had the entire game, and it barely registers as a tick down. Barely registers. The experience coming back down a little bit more, at least comparatively. But nonetheless, Liquid maintains a very commanding lead. Here at 14 minutes into Game 1 of this best of 5. Liquid with a 1-game advantage as they came to the Grand Finals via winner's bracket, punching through Dignitas on their way there, no less. And here we go, sneaking spotted out. He's going to drop the Cogs. But with so many slows between Enchant and Demonic Purge, they can't clean him up. Realizing there was no way for him to be interrupted. The disruption could have done it. But Mike unable or unwilling to do so. Either way, very active game. Very much like the game we saw between these two teams yesterday. 16 kills in a 15-minute game. Bulba uses Infest. Still actually ate all that damage. He used Infest and Rage and didn't dodge any damage from that call down at all. It's all right, Bulba. It happens. It happens. But anyway, Dignitas now moving back towards the Tier 1 bottom. Liquid still has all of their Tier 1 standing. And Dignitas looking to change that fact right now. Beastmaster's Hawk, flying observer for us. He says it's all clear, guys. So they take down their tower finally. Take down their first tower of the game finally. Looks like they may want to push. Howie continues to really be hurting. He's got 1,200 gold in the bank. The question going to be, does he want something like Drums BKB or does he want to go Shadow Blade? We'll have to find out. Breathe Fire, very potent in an AoE. Great anti-push. Homing Missile. Not the best place in the world. And the Wildkin Warchief helping to defend the tower as well. Ali still hasn't invested in an item. Taking a look at the rest of the items. Everyone's broke, basically. That's the story. Story of the game so far for Dignitas. No one has any money. On the other side, though, Liquid beginning to make some progress. We see Dragon Knight has actually added a Claymore to his inventory. So, not sure what he wants to go with that. Possibly a Shadow Blade. Not unheard of. Not unheard of at all. Back to Korok. He's got his Ogre Club up on his way to a BKB. The Enchantress even has an Urn plus a Bassi and some Treads, so she's feeling relatively survivable in comparison to where she normally would be. Bulba going for the ultra-stable approach. Gets the drums right after phase. Now he can add an armlet to his inventory, or he can just go straight up S and Y. And given he's got the late-game potential of the Dragon Knight, that really wouldn't surprise me a bit to see him go that direction. Just go ahead, play stable, go S and Y, and then maybe even something like a Deso, just to help focus fire down the gyro whenever the late game stage arrives. But right now, the game quite a ways away from late game. In fact, we're just in the tail end of the early game at 17 minutes in, and Liquid continues to lead the game in a very impressive fashion. 7,500 gold going their way, the experience at 5,000. We're going to see a little bit of pressure put onto the Tier 1 mid now. And Liquid in position to react. You know, and right now, again, this is where Dignitas does not play well. They don't play well whenever they're cut off on their own side of the river. They did manage to bring down one tower, so that helps them at least feel a little bit more comfortable doing some creative things on the map. But at the same time, Cold Foreman, I love it. Owie, or excuse me, Fluff, one of the few people who will just, he'll grab any creep out of the jungle. Does not care. Uses them all.
Bottom tower is under attack.
And Liquid gonna manage to find themselves a free Tier 1. Looks like Dignitas wants to make it less than free. And Edict gonna be popped. Great positioning by Fog to guarantee all of the damage is done to the tower and none to creeps. So that quickly evaporates. And looked like Liquid wanted to push through to the Tier 2. And now instead, they've teleported back, looking to get some return kills, hoping to catch Fogged or Way2 or sneaking as they retreat. Not going to be the case, though. So not a bad sequence there for Dignitas. Should help them out. But the farm potential of Liquid now beginning to show itself. Gyrocopter is going to be going for a Shadow Blade. He's picked up a Claymore of his own. And this is real risky to me. If this Shadow Blade were coming out 5 minutes ago after a very good start, then fine. But building no survivability, less than 1,000 HP right now, no survivability, no magic immunity. And, you know, they've got some decent damage in a variety of ways. I mean, Way2 obviously great single target DPS as Nyx Assassin. But he didn't have the best start. He's just level 9. Lesh is level 6. Gyro not even level 11 yet, so no level 2 call down. And we'll just look at it wholesale. Yeah, same story we saw in the laning phase. And I'll tell you what's really problematic when you look at the hero levels. It's not just that all of the heroes, you know, it's not just that Liquid has 3 heroes that are that far ahead. It's that all of their hang on. This could be a big win. Korok has the passenger out. It comes. They're going to get one. Bulba now re-engages. Carapace stuns him out. Down go the cogs. And Bulba able to get another kill. TC is there, laying into him. We're going to see Dignitas coming out ahead here in a big way, though. And Liquid just walked into it there. Very unfortunate for Team Liquid, but very fortuitous for Dignitas. And we're going to end up seeing a pause. So hopefully, whatever the issue is, Skype problems, hopefully that'll be resolved. But Dignitas has now managed to tie things up in terms of kills, fighting their way back into this game. And really, and again, you know, Dignitas hasn't made a lot of this happen for the most part. I mean, their warding is okay. It's not great. They just happen to find a free kill there that happened to be Korok, happened to have Lifestealer inside of him, and then Liquid committed to a fight uphill into an established team who honestly at this stage has better overall team fight. The damage potential of Liquid when you're talking true 5-on-5 and the survivability of Liquid is much, much better. But there you go. Sneaking, you're talking my language, brother. Raid call. Superior voice over IP, make no mistake. No DDoS either. That's always a big benefit. But, yeah, when you look at the sustained damage output, or the pure damage output, I should say, as well as the survivability that Liquid has, that's where they shine. Dignitas, though, if they're in position and are able to take engagements on their terms, just the pure synergy that exists in their composition with the Gyrocopter, with the Clockwork, the Beastmaster to roar through Rage, Leshrac, if he's able to chain together a nice split earth like we saw in that last fight, they have phenomenal hold your ground potential. So Liquid just has to make sure that when they engage, that they're, you know, it's the same thing with Korok blinking into an entire team in bottom lane. It was just a bad situation to go into, and Dignitas made the most of it. They're going to end up getting a tower off of all that as well. So Liquid, while they're going to continue to lead as the gold graph updates, we're going to see Dignitas closing that gap considerably. Aoi now has his Shadow Blade, so he'll be able to do some damage. But again, actually it's going to be an armlet coming out of Bulba. I thought he might just go pure S and Y and then maybe a bigger late game item, but it's going to get his armlet up as he has the Blades of Attack. And Liquid now looking to get a few reprisal kills. They're going to have an excellent opportunity to do so with 2 supports and Clockwork here in mid. Let's see if they can catch him. There's the drums pop. Bulba shows his face. There's the Force Staff. And able to rage through the Spike Carapace. There's a disruption out as well. Sonic Wave used just to be safe. So Liquid not coming out quite as far ahead as I think they would have liked, but taking Nyx off the map certainly always going to be a step in the right direction. We're just past 20 minutes. Net worth. We can see Queen of Pain and DK are up there. But Gyro and Sneaking are holding it together fairly well. They've made up some good ground. The last couple of team fights has really, really been key for Dignitas to help close this gap. Back to the gold graph, we can see it was almost near 10,000, now down closer to 5,000. So Dignitas, for all intents and purposes, has just about cut the gold lead in half. If not half, 30, 40%, give or take. Fogged, very barren. Universe did complete the mech, so a very important item for them, especially when you're talking about having to deal with fluff and nature's attendants. No mech out yet on Liquid, which is kind of surprising. They've had the gold to build it, or should have had the gold to build it, certainly, with the Force Staff done on the Shadow Demon and with Enchantress making her way through her items, getting some good gold. She's got a Bassi and an Urn, so she could have been at least on her way to it. But I would imagine that's one of the things that Liquid figures as a benefit of drafting an Enchantress. You're going to be able to rely on nature's attendants to give you that mid-game sustainability that a mech normally would. So instead of augmenting that, they allow their supports to spend gold on other items, like a Force Staff. Force Staff is absolutely essential for a Shadow Demon to really feel effective. Here we go. And way too spotted out. Sentry Ward goes down. Pops the Carapace. Here we go. The back engagement. There's a Roar going to lock him down. Sneaking drops the Cogs and got 2, but it's not going to do him any favors. Universe trying to make a run for it. He's going to drop Korok's there along with TC to help clean things up. Aoi just can't survive. And again, that was my concern coming in, was that going the Shadow Blade, and when it came out with Liquid already ahead, unless they just had perfect initiation, he's going to be focus fire down. His damage output is not where it normally would be in comparison, given he has fallen behind in golden levels. And having built the Shadow Blade to try and up his physical DPS, he sacrificed his survivability. And we saw just how quickly he melted there. 14-10. Liquid remains in solid control of this match. That gold grade back up over 7,500. The experience up in that general vicinity as well. Still a lot of Dota left to be played, but Liquid has all signs of having this game under control. Korok has a gem, as well as a BKB. We saw that put to use in that last fight. Bulba has just completed his armlet as well. So the core items coming out. TC did complete his Shadow Blade, has now put 1,000 gold towards an Ogre Club on his way to his own BKB. And Shadow Demon even, feeling comparatively rich with a Force Staff and able to afford wards and even an extra TP or 2 and an extra smoke or 2. In comparison, on the side of Dignitas, way too broke, only has Arcanes. Fogged, still sitting on tier 1 boots, a Bracer, and his Urn. Gyrocopter, could afford to get an Ogre Club now if he wants it. But as it is, still feeling very, very thin. Just a little over 1,000 HP. Compare that to the 1,600 of TC. Compare that to the 1,100 of Korok. The 1,300 untoggled of Bulba. Sneaking really is the big hope for this game right now for Dignitas. Clockwork is one of those heroes when given a good start, and he did have a good start, can just change games with good hooks and good play. Roshan, looking to be the focus of attention from both teams. Doesn't look like either's going to commit, though. And TC now in mid with Bulba. He's got a whole team behind him. Let's see how Dignitas wants to approach this. The Hawk has view. Even the Wild Wing, I should say, getting into the action. Korok's loaded up, ready to bring the pain. Dignitas trying to hold this tower as best they can, staying in a defensive formation. And Waytu gonna go ahead, impale on the Wild Wing. At least interrupts the Whirlwind. I think that's what it's called. I always forget. Nope, Tornado. Interrupts the Tornado. But Liquid able to siege from a distance because of the very solid attack range of TC. And Korok's now looking for a target. In the meantime, split push from Aoi. They're going to try to make it a one-for-one trade. Don't think they're going to be able to do so. And here we go. There's the hook that catches Mike. Mike is going to be cogged in. He's down. Now the roar. Bulba, though, going to town on Fog. Korok using his BKB Sonic Wave. Caught two, but the mech is there to keep them up and fighting. Korok, one of the last two standing. Last few standing. Now Bulba in trouble. He's mana burned down. Aoi abandoned the siege at bottom. Got there just in time. And as I was saying, it's all about the hook. Shadow Demon was a complete non-factor. He was removed from that fight by a very well-placed hook. And from that point on, it was downhill for Liquid. Dignitas now. Going to try and get this game under control. And they're going to start with a Roshan. TC bought his recipe. He's now only about 600 gold away. 650-ish. From completing his BKB. And looks like Sneaking's actually going to be going for an Ags. I don't mind that a bit. He's already so survivable. He's got 10 armor, and he's got just about 2,000 health. So he's, again, a very important hero in every conceivable way for Dignitas right now. They have to have good play out of him every single game, or every single fight. If he misses hooks, if he dies early, Liquid will roll over them. And at this stage of the game, as you see, the DK getting stronger. Almost has his BKB up. BKB very clutch for him. Just because, again, the bonus armor from Dragon Blood, which he has maxed, as we can see. The bonus armor of 12. That gives him 20 armor at 27 minutes, and he hasn't built a single plus armor item. That's just how absurd the Dragon Knight is at dealing with physical damage. So once he gets up a BKB, and he doesn't have to worry about things like Rocket Barrage, Edict, so on and so forth, he's going to feel nigh indestructible. Then he can build an Assault Cuirass if he wants more armor. Or he can just build straight damage. But we'll find out. 28 minutes in, we got 28 kills on the board. 15 of which belong to Team Liquid right now. The gold still hovering between 7,500 and 10,000. Roughly 8 to 8,500 the advantage for Liquid. The experience has dipped back down, though. So Dignitas at least making up ground one way or another. The net worth, 3 of the top 5 all belonging to Liquid. More importantly, though, the top 2 on the board. The top 2 late-game heroes they're going to be banking on. And now, even the Lifestealer on par with Aoi. Korok has played an excellent game so far. And we can see he's sitting at 5-2. Not quite as good as Sneaking. Sneaking's really been the MVP of this game. Not just for Dignitas, but in general. Dignitas most likely would be out of this game so far if it wasn't for good play from Sneaking. And he has allowed them to extend this game. And they don't have bad late game. Beastmaster's Roar is going to be just as good at locking down a DK or a Lifestealer at 40 minutes as it will be at 20 minutes. Clockwork never really falls off. He's always a nuisance, always very difficult to cope with. And Gyrocopter, when he builds damage, and this is Aoi. Aoi does not like to build survivable very often on the Gyro. Very risky, but he has added the Demon Edge. And we'll see. Hang on. He's going to eat the Dragon Tail. There's the ulti pop. Fog is there. There's the open wounds to pursue him out. Do they have vision? Korok's there. He had the gem. Now there's the Aegis popped. TC's locked inside. There's a disruption to buy him some time, though. Can they get back in the fight? Aoi back up after the Aegis. TC still going strong. Got a kill. Now the re-engagement. Korok laying into Waytu. Waytu's cleaned up. Fluff has to make a run for it. Homing missile going to be on the way. There's the roar. Got Bulba. Good AoE damage and an immaculate split earth. Caught 3. 1 makes it away. But Dignitas able to salvage what seemed to be an utter disaster. Bouncing back, getting some return kills, and they may well get a tier 2.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Liquid got work done. But the follow-up from Fogged. Beautifully placed Split Earth. And the tier 2 here in mid, gonna be their prize.
Radiant's middle tower.
And we can see another dent put into that gold lead. The experience will give it time to update. I suspect it's gonna be even bigger. But really, I mean, in that situation, you can't fault TC for taking what he saw as a real clear opportunity. But the reaction from Dignitas, money in the bank. And Liquid kind of, and again, it's how disruptive cogs are. Flashing back, this fight basically took place right here. And you had the cogs roughly right here and a lot of Liquid just standing right here with Dignitas here. And it's just very disruptive. You saw heroes trying to move this direction, trying to move down this direction, and Fogged, who was right about here, just hit a beautiful Split Earth roughly in that piece of real estate. But anyway, the gold still remains heavily in Team Liquid's favor. The big downside for that, even though Dignitas did get a win, they only got it by virtue of the Aegis. So it was costly. And now, this is probably the more key fight. If they decide, there we go. Blink Dagger showed off by Wei2, trying to mana burn him down. There's the Hex showed off, and Wei2's in trouble. Call Down's going to catch at least a couple. And there's the hook. Is it enough? Ulti pop by TC. They're laying into Owie. He's melted down in the meantime. Korok, with his BKB still up, doing what damage he can. There's Sonic Wave, got 2. Let's see if they can finally clean this fight out. And Clockwork doing work, uses the hook one more time. Fluff will be able to clean him up. That's 3 for 2 so far. So Liquid comes out ahead, but the tower still stands. Open wounds, re-engage on the Universe. Korok's there as well. There's the Scythe of Ice used once again. Universe will drop to the onslaught of Bulba. And a beautiful disruption from Mike. Eats some tower damage in the meantime. And Fogged, in a panic, uses everything he has and catches nothing but air. That's 5 down and a tier 2 tower. Likely to be down momentarily. And Bulba might actually be building a BKB. I want to say he may have done this once before. I saw someone do this once before just to have that mass amount of magic immunity. 6 seconds plus 10, or plus, potentially 10 from BKB. 16 seconds of magic immunity is pretty okay. It's pretty good Dota, last I heard. 22-18. And they actually do have their tower still standing, so Liquid did bail out. The gold still hovering right in that same range. The experience back up near the biggest gap of the entire game. Not quite there yet. Owie is going to be building an MKB. He's added a Javelin to his inventory to go with that Demon Edge. And, at this point, in for a penny, in for a pound. He went with the Shadow Blade despite being behind. He's had survivability problems all game. We can see sitting at 4-4-8. He's having a hard time just being around to clean up these fights. Gyrocopters excel at that. Rocket Barrage, Flat Cannon, just being able to spam those out. Once the fights peter out, you have 2-3 down on each side. He still has mass damage output plus his own natural right click. But since he hasn't been able to survive a lot of these fights, he's not around to help clean things up. I mean, hell, we saw at the tier 2. All 3 heroes made it away with next to no health and Gyro down. Taking a look at the net worth, we can see same story it's been roughly all game. 3 of the top 4 belong to Liquid, Gyro, and in at least the ballpark. But Korok's really been the one that's been cleaning up in terms of gold. Scythe of Ice, it looks like he might be building a Shiva's actually, which is a fascinating pickup. Shiva's plus Scythe of Ice and BKB. He's quite fat. TC acting as bait for top. And the Rocket Flare did spot Korok. We saw the immediate... they had a ward down anyway. We saw the immediate pinging out to begin with. Dignitas, in the meantime, takes a tower of their own at the bottom tier 2. And both teams just going to fall back after that. So, at this point, a mirror image on both sides. Only one tier 2 tower remains for Dignitas. It is bottom. For Team Liquid, it is top. Now, Wei2... he's going to be of an increased importance. Investing in that Blink Dagger, Very important item for a Nyx Assassin, but in this case, if they're going to have to get the jump on their opponents. There's so many ways for Liquid to get themselves out of trouble now. TC, given how naturally tanky he is, he has his BKB. Korok, a BKB, a Scythe of Ice to reinitiate, to counter-initiate. Fluff, even at this stage of the game, Nature's Attendance is not inconsiderable in the amount it can heal. The built-in rage of the Lifestealer, of course. And he actually is going to get his S and Y after the armlet. So, don't mind that at all. Just thought he might go S and Y first, and then skip the armlet and get a more pure, big late-game item. But yeah, and then Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon's ability to disrupt, his ability to Demonic Purge. A Gyrocopter that's out of position, to Demonic Purge a Nyx Assassin that maybe comes into Initiate and initiates into a bigger fight than he thought. Liquid just has so many ways to counter-initiate and to get themselves out of trouble. Dignitas, especially with, again, Aoi foregoing Magic Immunity. He is getting it now, though. BKB, very important item for him. If he can manage to get a BKB up after foregoing it for damage for so long in this game, Dignitas is going to have a brand new potency in these team fights. You're going to see them all of a sudden feel much harder to deal with. Sneaking going to have hooks for days, as he's added the Scepter to his inventory. He's also added an Ogre Club, so perhaps on his way to a BKB of his own. Leshrac, set of drums. Not bad for him. He does have the gem. And the Beastmaster, with a Scepter of his own as well as a mechanism. That mech been done for quite some time, so Dignitas is really bouncing back admirably. It has to be said. It's I keep popping the goal graph up. The experience is much more in favor now for Liquid than it has been at almost any other point in the game. But they have kept the gold lead manageable. They have at least stopped the bleeding, even if they haven't healed the wound. Last tier 2 on the map. And now Bulba's going to be there. Now they're going to re-engage. Here we go. Carapace is up, but with Magic Immunity, way too locked down. Sonic Wave caught a couple. They want to go ahead and re-engage. Here comes the hook. That's going to catch Fluff. In the meantime, the fire rages on. Aoi taking a lot of damage. Infest by Bulba. Money in the bank. There's a disruption to buy some time. Sneaking. Trying to retreat along with his team. The level 16 ultimate. Nice split earth from Fogged. Fogged has been money in the bank. Korok going to blink ahead. Here comes TC. Follows it up with the Dragon Tail. The damage output from the low ground just too big. Split earth too little too late. Fogged. Now next on the target list, Korok blinks ahead, eating a lot of damage, but they're able to clean it up. That's going to be 5 down and at least the tier 3 done. That's everything I was talking about right there. The ability for Liquid to reinitiate. Be it in an AoE or a general sense with BKBs, or just be it with Scythe of Ice, open wounds, disruption. They just have a team that does so well at punishing mistakes in positioning. And they've built a team that is so solid in that regard. First set of racks gonna drop. Still 4 down from Dignitas. They're gonna go ahead and back out. Roshan is back up. Doesn't look like they want to take a chance on it, though. So Dignitas' lives just got a bit more difficult. 10,000 gold. Now the advantage. Going the way of Liquid. The experience, even higher. Up near 15,000 at this stage of the game. Looks like we're going to have a brief pause. Want to once again welcome in everyone. Not sure how many folks we have watching. No idea what's going on with the TI West qualifiers. But if you are tuning in from there, congratulations to whoever won, because I don't know. And welcome into the stream. Looks like we're back underway. Ready to roll. 27-19. Liquid now beginning to get a little more out of control. I mean, they've had the lead for the longest time. The experience, yeah, over 15,000, up near 14,000 gold. And it's, again, Dignitas, their lanes just went so poorly in comparison. And Liquid has been able, and Liquid hasn't been flawless. Make no mistake. They've made plenty of mistakes, and Dignitas has capitalized on many of them. They've had really great support play and playmaking ability out of Sneaking and out of Fogged in particular. Universe hasn't been bad either. Beastmaster is one of those heroes that's relatively quiet in what he does, but what he does is very important. And they're trying to sneak a Roshan here. Can't say they're sneaking it, as it's now obviously been spotted out. There's the smoke, and TC forgot the Shadow Blade. And spots out the Nyx assassin. Here's the homing missile. Now they're going to go for it. Wave 2 going to be locked down. Here's the hook and the roar from the low ground. BKB was already popped there. Bulba knocked down to the low ground. Owie being beat on by Roche as well as Liquid. Korok in trouble. Got off the Sonic Wave, but the disruption's there right in time. Let's see if they can follow it up. TC still feeling large and in charge. Fog making a run for it. Hook catches nothing, and the GGs are cold. Dignitas knew they were on the ropes. Knew they had maybe one fight left in them, and so did Liquid. Liquid making it happen down at the Roche Pit and sealing the deal on game number 1 of this best of 5. Liquid rolling into this series out of the winner's bracket, already led the series with a 1-game advantage. Now just 1 win away from stamping their name on the trophy and claiming the title of champions of the DreamHack Invitational. Dignitas gonna have to beat their superstar North American counterparts in 3 straight games if they want to try to get things back on track.
Radiant victory.
Really excellent play out of Team Liquid. Dignitas able to capitalize on the mistakes that Liquid made, but again, taken out of things early and really felt to be out of their comfort zone in terms of trying to play from behind. It's just something we've seen time and time again. Liquid, one of the best teams in terms of closing in the entire business. I'm AC, and you're tuned into the Curse Invitational here on Curse Entertainment. Make sure you stick around. We got game number 2 coming up next. We'll be right back.